So this is on my screen is our supply desk registration form that I've created. It's a gravity form. And based on people's answers, it has conditional formatting. So, if somebody answers various questions, it'll jump to different sections, based on their responses. So it's conditionally format throughout. Now, when people enter their details in here, so this is a candidate that would enter their details. What we want it to do is integrate to the people record on TR. So this record here. So first of all, we need some structural changes on the people record first, and then we need to map the
gravity form.
Yeah. So what I've done is I've done a spreadsheet like I do, and these are the gravity form questions. These are the related TR fields, and these are the gravity form drop-down values that exist from these questions. And then this is what currently exists in Talent Rover, and this is how it would map from the gravity form question into a particular field in TR. But there are some fields that are missing or need to be added first before we can do the integration. And I'm presuming that all of this would be done in the sandbox first. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, because in this view, obviously this is a live view, there will be things that are changed. So for instance, the type of record, person record, will just be changed to 2 values. And at the moment there's kind of 6 values. So I wouldn't want to change it all one day and for consultants to say, what's happening? Why have we changed it? So I would need to do a video based on what's in the sandbox, an instructional video to show them, the changes and how things have changed. And then we set a date for changeover and to go live in production, if that makes sense. Am I making sense so far?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So it asks, what is your name? So title is the salutation in TR. First name is first name, last name is last name. We do ask other names used, and we currently haven't got a value on TR for that. So we would need to add that in. So I've just put a red box there to add. I'll just say add in. And obviously, then it will map other names used into add in. Address will be the address, but it will also map the home address. It will also populate the country and the regional area. So let me just show you that. Down here, when we put in, if we put in somebody's home address, if they put in their home address and their postcode, etc., if they're in Australia, they will put in New South Wales somewhere here, which should then populate the regional area to equal that. And then if their home country is Australia, then the country should be Australia as well. Is that possible to do that?
On the standard search, so the standard address?
Let me actually have a look at what I've asked for in here. So county, city. Yeah, so country will just populate country. And county, it's going to be, it'll be whatever county, because this is a UK form, so it won't be related to this is an overseas feature.
So when someone populate the home address, you want it to auto-populate the country?
Yes. Yep.
So that is based on the integrations we have.
Yeah.
See,
so see if
I may need to use
sorry, you go.
Sorry. So I may need to use a Google integration, the map integrations, and if Google allow to add the country, then definitely I can be able to do that.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe it's not, maybe it should just equal UK actually. Maybe it's because this is a UK form and it will be UK people that are filling out the form. So maybe it just should be that if a form comes from this website, country equals UK. And if it's not the UK, they can change it rather than having it, map. We can just say, if this integrates, then country equals UK. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I think that's probably a better idea. Okay. So then email equals email, phone number equals phone number, and there are a number of phone number fields on TR up here. Sorry, I'll just cancel that. So it'll just go under home phone, I think, actually. It'll go under. And maybe it can populate mobile phone as well. So I'll just put home phone and mobile. Put the same phone number because it's probably going to be a mobile anyway. And then, do you have a right to work in the UK? That will be a new question that will need to be added, and it's just literally yes or no. And I'll address this candidate vetting questions down further, but that question needs to be added in, and I'll show you where it needs to be added as we go down the form. I am applying as candidate type. So now this is where it changes. At the moment, there's lots of values. I think there's about 6 or 7 values. So it'll either be teacher or support. If they click teacher, they'll get this drop-down menu. And same if they answer the question on the form. If they answer teacher, they'll say my teaching qualification is, and these values will come up. And then if they choose support, then the yellow values will come up. And same if I'm applying as a support teacher, they'll get this question only, and all of these need to be put into TR. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense to me. But also, can you also add one more column to it that let's say if the fields are available already in the Salesforce, then we need an exact mapping of it. Like say the first name, last name, right? So exact name of the field inside Salesforce. Yeah,
so that is the name, candidate type, qualifications. So these bold headings are the names. So they're the headings they are the related fields. So candidate type is the related field, qualifications is the related field.
Oh, okay. You added a field name in the bold and down these values of that field.
So no, so these need to be added, and this field already exists, but it just needs to be changed to teacher or support.
Yeah, I got it.
And
yes,
then,
I got it.
Yep. And then if they click teacher, these fields will be added into TR under qualifications. So it's still called qualifications, but it's either teacher qualifications or support qualifications. So does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yep. And then this is a new field. Do you hold qualified teacher status? It's just a tick box, so it's a true or false. Yep. And then the job role I am seeking is, and that already exists, and that is this field here, job titles. Yeah, it's job titles. So but we want to change it to job role. So
just the rename of the field?
Job titles. So all of these values, a lot of these already exist, but we just need to make sure all of them are there. So this is what we need the pick list to look like. And some of, like most of them are already there, but just check and make sure each one of those is there if you would. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, and then
look good.
Oh, sorry, go.
No, go ahead. Actually, I was saying yes, I got it.
the year group key stage already exists. And so this pick list from the gravity form is exactly the same as what it already exists in Talent Rover. So nothing that needed to be done there.
Okay.
Yep. And then my specialist subjects are, so this is where, again, I've conditionally formatted the actual form. So if they choose key stage 3 or 4 or key stage 5, if they choose one of these two values, then they get his subject pick list, which, says math, science. But if they choose key stage EYFS, key stage 1 or key stage 2, the value that should automatically be populated in is all primary. So I'll show you in this one here. So if a candidate selects their key stage as key stage, hang on. If a candidate selects key stage 3 and 4, key stage 5, then this pick list should show up, but they get to choose from all of these subjects. But if they choose early years foundation, key stage 1, key stage 2, then this subject should automatically populate with just all primary only. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, because they're either a primary teacher, which means they teach every subject, so it's not relevant, or they're a secondary teacher, which is key stage 3 and 4 and 5, then they choose their specific subject. So in the gravity form, they, if they choose key stage 3, see how it says my specialist subjects, or they key stage 5, but if they choose the other ones, nothing, it doesn't come up with a subject list because it should auto populate if they choose any of these, all primary in the subject.
All right, I just need to check one thing though, because the multi-select pick list is allowed for a dependent pick list or not, that I need to check.
Okay.
Because when you select a multi-select pick list, sometimes it is not allowing you to do that. Like,
yeah, I understand. I guess let me know if there are limitations, and we'll just have to come up with another solution if it's too difficult. So yeah, so basically
sure, definitely.
Yeah, so just let me know. And obviously I've said here, if candidate chooses key stage 3 or 4, they'd be given this question and the subject pick list. And if they can't choose early years foundation, key stage 1 or key stage 2, then the value should be just all primary. Yep.
Okay, yep.
And the pick list already exists. So nothing really needs to be done except the mapping. Then this is a new question. How many years experience do you have in an educational school setting? And so these are the values, and these are the values that need to be moved in. So it's a drop down. Yep. And then the type of work I am seeking, this already exists, assignment type, and all of these values are already in there, and it matches the gravity form. So there's nothing to do on that one, except obviously map them to each other. When are you available to start work would map to available from date. And there's already a field where you input a date, and on the gravity form, the same thing will be required. So it's down here. So they just select a date, and same on the form. When are you available to start? And they use the pick list. So it's just, obviously date and date input. The days I'm available to work are Monday through to Sunday. We can add, actually we'll add those two as well. They already exist. All those values already exist in TR. So again, just mapping whatever the candidate chooses.
Okay, got it.
And then this is the region I would like to work in is, and this already exists in TR as well. So if they select Northeast, then they get a pick list of all of the preferred LEAs in the Northeast area. Or if they select, Greater London, then they'll get preferred LEAs based on, you know, Greater London. And that's the same with the pick list that I've done in the form. So I'll show you that as well. So it's exactly the same, it mirrors it. So if I chose Greater London, then these are the values that they can choose from. And they are the same as what's in the gravity form already. So it's exactly the same.
Okay.
So it's just
no changes required there. Okay.
Yep. So that's just an integration. It's already existing. Time will travel, that already exists. And again, these values already exist. So it's just mapping the same values that they input into TR in the same spots. My method of transport is that already exists. And so again, it's mapping their answers like for like. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one is a new field. My ideal position would be, we just need a multi-row free text box put somewhere on the candidate profile. Let me just cancel that. So it might be just here that we put it. So they put, you know, their information, and it's a free text box on the gravity form as well. So I'll just put new free text box, multi-row added. And then this is a new question. Do you have special needs experience or SEN experience? So we need a new field. And that'll be a yes or no pick list.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the same thing on the form. It asks, do you have special needs experience, yes or no? And it'll map to that field. If they select yes, then this field already exists in Talent Rover, but we need to just check that all of these values are within that SEN experience box. Most of them will be, but I think some of these ones at the end might need to be added in. So if they select yes, they will then be given this question on the gravity form, and then they will need to choose their skills and experience. And again, it'll be the same on the gravity form. So it should be, if they go to this question, it'll be mapped. If they select no, then they won't be served this question, and therefore nothing will integrate into the special needs experience section. So here is the SEN experience. So above that potentially needs to be the yes, no. And if they select yes, then they'll select, you know, from the gravity form, which matches what's on here, and then it will show. But if they select special needs experience no, then nothing will appear. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep, great. Okay, I'll just put check values are all there. And then how did you hear about us? That is source and detailed source, which already exists. So if they select job board, it will ask them, it'll give them a pick list of job boards to choose from. If they choose social media, it'll give them a social media pick list to choose from. All of those values already exist in TR. There are more than are on. There are more on TR than are that. There are more on TR than there are on this list, but this is relevant to. So leave every value there that's there. Basically, you don't need to do anything. But on gravity forms, we've shortened the list because it's not relevant. Australian uni is not relevant. Canadian uni is not relevant because this is a UK-based form. But basically, if they choose job board from gravity forms, they'll be given a pick list of job boards. Everything already exists within here. So you can see source category.
Mm-hmm.
And if they chose job boards, then they'll get this pick list, which is exactly the same as what's on gravity forms. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Makes sense to me.
Yep. So everything's the same. I'll just say pick lists already exist. So please choose the specific job board. So if they say, how did you hear about us, and they choose job board, then the next question will be, please choose the specific campaign, special program, referral, social media, job board, and all the pick lists are there. Yep.
Yeah.
And then the next question is, are you registered with other agencies? This is a new question. So other agencies, again, it'll be just a yes, no drop down. So add new pick list, add new drop down. And it's just yes or no. If they select yes, then they'll be given, please select those agencies. And then there'll be a values list, which Chris was supposed to add, but he hasn't, so I'll have to give you the values. So we need to add in drop down So if you look on the candidate registration form, what question was it again? I'm getting confused. Oh, registered with other agencies. So here we go. So if you select yes, then these are all the agencies that they need to choose from. And if they select no, then they're not given that question. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yep. So I can.
It's pretty much straightforward. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So then please detail your most recent education experience. That will be integrated into the candidate alert notes, which is a free text box. So this box up the top, it's just going to go in here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep. And then this is where it becomes a bit tricky. Well, I'll go through the questions then and I'll show you where they need to be. So this is a new question. Do you have a current DBS? That'll be a tick box, true or false.
Mm-hmm.
If they choose true, so if true, then answer the next question. So do you have a clear DBS? And the candidate answer will be yes, no, unsure. And they'll have a drop down to select those values. And this needs to be added into TR, and I'll show you where in a minute. Then the next question is independent of these two, so it needs to show regardless of this answer. Have you ever been subject to disciplinary action, including an investigation? So it's yes, no, unsure. And then can we get references not agreed? Yes, no. So those questions, as well as this one up the top here, the right to work, that's why I've put it in pink, because these are candidate answers to vetting questions. So this question and these other pink questions here need to go into a table in TR. So what we want is these fields under a new section called vet questions. So vet questions. And this is the short description, and then you can have a little I information, and this is the glossary. So that, you know, you have a little hover to tell them what the description is. So these are just the descriptors. So references agreed, right to work, caution, conviction, disciplinary. And then this is where the candidate answer will go. So whatever they select and input into the Gravity form will go into here. And again, the answers are the same. Yes, no, because we'll add them into TR like this. So on the Gravity form, it'll say yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, unsure, yes, no, unsure. Then what we also need is a consultant. The same questions, but the consultant are to answer the questions. So this integrates into TR from the Gravity form, but then we need to have the same set of answers that are blank. So when the candidate registers and then our consultant gives them a call, they will ask them the questions again to verify that they are the right answers. So if a candidate comes through and they say they've got references agreed, I would then call the candidate and say, have you got references not agreed? And then I would put my answer. Do you have a right to work? If they've said yes, I would say, do you have a right to work? And the consultant needs to physically select yes. And then if they have cautions or convictions, I would need to ask that question, even though the candidate has answered and I would see their answer here. I need to ask over the phone and I need to select their answer. And then if they have disciplinary action, again, I need to look at their answer. So say they've said no, but then after questioning on the phone, I've said yes. It needs to be a double checking process. So this section is integrated from the gravity form. This section sits beside it on TR, but it is manually selected post integration. If the consultant vet answers are correct, so these are the correct answers. If these questions here and these questions here say yes, yes, no, no, then this might be a bit difficult, but the correct answers in both the candidate answer and the vetted answer trigger a candidate status to equal vetted on the save of the record. If the right to work is no, in either the candidate one or the consultant one, then the candidate status is reject on save. If the answer is not correct, but the right to work is yes. So if this is yes and this is yes, but some of these other answers are no, so they're not correct, then the candidate status should be investigate on save. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense to me, but I think it is a complex matrix.
Okay. Okay. If you complex in terms of doing the work, making it happen, or complex in terms of how I'm describing it?
No, it's not about describing. It's like how I will tackle it on the matrix side, because things will be different and the gravity should be in the back end. It will be difficult, right? So just before even, I have one question though. Like this gravity form is ready or it still needs to be implemented?
No, it's ready. It's ready. Yep. So it's okay. Live on the website. I haven't given anyone a link to it, but it's live and ready to go.
Okay, got it. Yep. So the challenging part I can see is the intermediate any engineering work required, such as manipulating a data that I will need to tackle it. So I think okay, no, but I think that is more of question on the technical side. So I will tackle it. Yeah. And I will let you know that how I'm going to, it's not a straightforward filling out form and just click save and I enter the data into the form, right? Yeah. It has a manipulation required in between it, right?
Yep. Yep. I understand. So I'll just finish the rest of the form.
Yeah, sure.
So this, obviously that column needs to go, but basically you'd have this, the candidate answers, the actual questions, the candidate answer, and then the consultant vet answer here. And I was thinking that we would have a new section, a new section called vetting, candidate vetting, and then it would just sit somewhere, simple in this section, like in a new section, if possible. Does that make sense?
No, can you repeat one more time?
So this section is a section that consultants need to fill out once these questions have come into TR. So it's basically a table.
Yes, got it.
In terms of where we would put it, it could go here. I'm not sure how much space it's going to take up, or we could create a new section.
Yes.
So you know how there's a person information, teaching information, we could have a vetting information. So just adding a new section. if you think that that's appropriate, or finding a spot to put those questions, because it's quite an important part of the process.
I think it's better to go ahead with the section, different section.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, great. So I'll just put in the notes, new section to be created for vetting questions. Okay, so the other thing that I wanted to ask is that if we have candidates that are being rejected, whether that ends up being an automated process or whether it ends up being a manual process, is it possible to run an automated report once a month to delete candidates with a candidate status that equals reject?
So that delete candidate data will be removed from the system, or that
Correct.
will be removed, keep it in the system, but it has a rejected status?
Removed completely.
No, for the removing data, we don't have a way to keep track of it. So either what I can do is I can create another separate object where it is collecting all the data which has got removed. Yeah. And on that, we can be able to, add it like reports. We can make a report and we can do it there.
Right. Because, yeah, anyone that is reject, we just want to get them off the system because we've gone through the process. They don't qualify. There's no point in having their data on the system. So we want to delete their data off if they are moved to reject.
Yeah, data will be deleted. Just we are going to collect it for the report purpose.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, all right. I mean, I don't need to, I can do a report on, reject. I can create the report myself. I was just wondering whether there was some way of deleting that data like automatically once per month or something.
But once you delete that data, and if you pass 1 month or 2 months, then you don't have that data access, right? So yeah, the report will not work for you.
Yeah, but there are going to be candidates added every day, each month. So we will be building up a pool of reject candidates. So then we would delete them, on that particular month. And then, for the next month, there'd be, lots of other rejects kind of thing.
So in that case, I can give you one option where in the end of a month, it will collect automatically all the data which got rejected.
Yeah.
And it will download the Excel sheet, or it will email the Excel sheet to your email address or whom it soever. Mm-hmm. So that will be sent out to that email address. And once that is done, the system will automatically delete that data.
Yeah, that's exactly what I want. Yep. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and then, I can.
Yeah. So these pink areas, these pink ones, are the questions we just discussed, which are in pink down further. But I obviously have put them in the form so you can see how they relate to the questions. But obviously pink relates to these questions that will show in the new section. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then fields that will be auto-populated on registration. So these are things that will automatically populate behind the scenes based on what the candidate has entered as data. So the resourcer field will be triggered by the preferred LEA. So I have data here. So if the preferred LEA is Darlington, then it will be Leanne Clark. If somebody selects Manchester, Blackpool, it will be Alexandra Skinner. So that's the resourcer will be automatically assigned based on the LEA that they've put in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Yeah.
Okay, great. And then the person owner, again, it'll just be the same, preferred LEA. So these two will be the same. So person owner and resourcer, when it comes into the system, will be based on preferred LEA, and it will be based on what's in this regional area data here. And then person record type will automatically be candidate, because there's an option for candidate and client, but these are going to be candidates. So it'll be automatically candidate. The name of the branch that the branch field will automatically be populated by regional area choice. So regional area choice, can you see Yorkshire and Humberside? If they choose that as their regional area on the form, then it will be branch equals Leeds. And if they choose Northwest, it will be branch equals Manchester. So I'm talking about this field here.
Okay.
And so I've mapped them based on the regional area choices. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
And then client name, it should default to unknown, do not delete, because you can't save a record unless you have something in the client name. So when we don't know, we just have a value unknown, do not delete. That's already in the system. So obviously on integration, it just automatically should populate with that. Client status should be not applicable. Candidate status should be prospect when they enter the system. But then when the consultant answers those vet answers, obviously they're going to be from prospect, they're moving through the pipeline and becoming vetted if they're moving forward. If they've had some of those answers wrong, then they're going to be investigate further. And if they don't have a right to work, they will be reject, but they should come into the system initially as prospect. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, yes.
And then resource status type should be awaiting availability. And then compliance status should be not registered when they come into the system.
Okay.
So that is pretty much what we need done. And I guess this is now for you to let me know what is possible, and maybe suggest some alternatives if we think this is going to be, you know, an extensive piece of work that is going to be really hard to do. It's going to be, you know, expensive. You know, if you can see a better way of doing it that will still serve our purpose, then I'm open to listening to that. Do you think that you could have a review and then maybe send me an idea of the number of hours that it will be required and sort of timelines and things? Is that going to be okay with you to do that?
Yes, yes, definitely. And a couple of more researches is also required in this case, because with a few automations, I need to make sure that how I'm going to handle it, because it's I'm trying to accomplish this with a way of a standard working, like integration, not custom integration, but the standard integrations. Yep. And then I will check.
Okay, great. And I mean, these triggers to change the status, to reject or vetted or investigate, they don't necessarily, like if it's going to be too hard, I can get the consultants to change it themselves, but I would rather not rely on consultants because sometimes they get a bit lazy and they won't change them. And so we'll have people that, you know, are still on the system where we don't know what's happened kind of thing. So, although I could run a report, I suppose. So this is just a nice to have, but I guess it depends on how difficult it is and the time and cost involved as well. So yeah, I'll leave it up to you to sort of do a scope of work, you know, what's required, timeline and cost, and then come back to me. I'll send you this video as well so that you can sort of show, you know, people that are going to be working with you. And I can also share this spreadsheet. At the moment, I'm having a problem with my email. I can't even get into my email. So I might send it via my Gmail, actually, is what I'll do. So then you've got all the information. So, yeah.
That's fine, not an issue. So you are talking about that thing which is confirmed yet or not about that report.